So hi everyone. I know you've been expecting me. I'm back. I'm finally here. And from the title of this video, I know you guys already seen what we are about to discuss. But the truth is, I'm not going to do this because I see when a lot of creators put out this kind of videos, they tend to give you this fancy simulation-like kind of vibe. But we're not living in a simulation, for crying out loud. I'm going to give you step by step some things that you should look out for, as a beginner when you're breaking into cybersecurity. Also, yeah, it's not just for beginners, right? Intermediate level, and the like. So, if you're ready, if you're pumped, to be honest, am I pumped? If you're ready, if you're pumped, let's get into this video. Um, where's my monitor? Yeah. So when I was preparing this video for you guys, to be honest, I was like, what's the fastest, what's the best way to kind of display, or what's the best way to communicate what I'm trying to say? And I created a mind map. Yeah. So I created a mind map, and as you can see from my mind map, we're going to go from cybersecurity, what it entails, then the steps I feel a beginner should look at when they are trying to break into cybersecurity. It's something very simple, it's not something very hard, and I believe that you can achieve something here. So, one of the things you need to know when you're breaking into cybersecurity, the first mindset you should have, the first mindset I believe everyone should have, or I believe every person breaking into cybersecurity should have, is that they should know that uh, cybersecurity is a very technical and high performance driven career. Right now, the reason why I coined out this uh, definition is because many a times people think that cybersecurity is just once you break into cybersecurity, you're going to just be getting high paying jobs. You're just going to be cruising through, the career ladder and things like that. But one of the when you look at these creators we have out there, all right, when you look at not just creators, when you look at the big boys in cybersecurity, when you look at the top CEOs, the top managers in cybersecurity, one of the things that they understood from the time from their inception is that they knew that, oh, this is a very technical role, this is a very technical career, and it's an high performance driven, career. Once you have this mindset as a beginner, I believe you should have this mindset. And once you have this mindset as a beginner, I believe you will thrive. Now let's move on to the key steps. So the key steps in this roadmap, please don't judge me. This is my personal opinion. This is my personal uh, thought process, right? So if you're a beginner and you're like, okay, let's see. If you're a beginner, I believe that if you follow these key steps, if you follow this roadmap, I believe that you should have a very good landing when you're breaking into cybersecurity. So let's go from step one. So step one is, let me try to, oh, I think I need to turn off my, yeah. So step one is role research. So many a times, let's just get this out there. Many a times when you find a beginner, let's say I was a beginner today, right? Let me move on to my main screen because I'm about to talk. So let's say I'm a beginner today, right? And I'm thinking, okay, I love the concept of cybersecurity. I know cybersecurity is a technical role and high performance driven role. One of the things you can get right from the inception is doing your research on the role you want to break into. Now, many a times people feel like, oh, I'm just going to be a pen tester because they love the idea of hacking. But no, have you done your research about pen testing? All right, let me move on to my main monitor screen. So, have you done your research about pen testing? Have you done your research about all the roles that are entailed in cybersecurity? All right, I believe one of the best decisions you can make is researching on is role research. So, role research, step one, that's the very beginning. The very first step is role research. You need to research on what are the roles, because cybersecurity is a big field, right? It's a very big field. You need to research on the roles that are entailed. And like I said, let's say I was a beginner and I was trying, let's say, so cyber security roles, right? So we're just going to read what we are seeing here on the screen. I need to enlarge my screen. Yeah. So now see, there are a lot of roles in cybersecurity, right? And as a beginner, you must know the roles that are entailed, because you cannot just say you want to break into something and you are just breaking in on vibes. You should not break into cybersecurity on vibes, like, to be honest, because we have cybersecurity analyst, cybersecurity engineer, incident responder, DPO, CISO, um, let's click on this. Yeah. So we have all these roles, and as you can see, if you're a beginner, this is what you should actually do, because at an early stage, if you don't know how to look for what can help you in, let's say I'm stuck. Okay, we are stuck, right? And we are beginners, we are stuck, we don't know where to turn to, right? This research mindset should be something that you should always explore, because if you don't explore it, even while you're a beginner, when you break into cybersecurity, you're not still going to explore it, because you just feel like it's on vibes. Like I said, you should not get into cybersecurity on vibes. So these are a lot of rules, right? As you can see, there are a lot of rules in cybersecurity. This is just 46 rules and more. But I know it's so. Another thing that people get wrong is that they feel like, okay, yeah, cybersecurity is interconnected, so I can do anything. No, you can't do anything. Cybersecurity is interconnected, but no, you can't do anything. You can't do anything because for each roles they have their specific what will I call it now? They have their specific output, or they have their specific goals that they should achieve, right? So someone that is probably doing GRC, governance system and compliance, would might know some terminologies used in let's say a privacy analyst, right? But that does not mean they achieve the same role, right? They might know the same thing, but that does not mean they achieve the same role. So you must research on the roles, right? So yeah, either you want to be a SOC analyst, either you want to be a GRC analyst, or a pen tester. The first step, you must research on the roles. Right? That's why I believe where a lot of beginners miss it. You miss it because you're not researching on these roles. Right? Research on your roles. Go on Google. Go on Twitter. Go on all available social media platforms you have. But the most important thing is that you must research on your roles. Now let's move on to the next step, step two, which is build a solid foundation. Now, this cannot be overemphasized. Um, say for example, you already know that you want to be a SOC analyst, right? Now, that's fantastic, right? You've done your role research. Now you know you want to become a SOC analyst. Now, one of the important thing, which is leading me back to my definition right here, cybersecurity is technical and high performance during career. So if you've done your research and you know that okay, you're going to be a SOC analyst, just know that that role is actually a very technical role, and it requires you to, it's an high performance driven role, right? For any career path you choose, whether it be a GRC analyst, a SOC analyst, a pen tester, a forensic investigator, you must know that those roles are very technical. Because why I say those roles are very technical is because um, you are going to grow in your career. Everyone wants to grow in their career. You're breaking in as a beginner today does not mean you're going to be a beginner tomorrow or forever. You're going to climb up the ladder. So if you're climbing up the ladder, that's when you begin to understand that wait, this is a very technical role. That's when you begin to understand that oh, I might have shot myself in the leg by not building a solid foundation. So building a solid foundation, a very very basic and simple thing. So from learning basic IT skills to networking to security principles. Now, I don't want to spotlight um, any foundation and say, oh, this foundation is the most important foundation, but I just want to talk about networking a little bit. Now, the reason why networking seems to be very, very important, right, is because cybersecurity deals with systems, infrastructure that are interconnected, right? And these systems that are interconnected, they they talk to each other, right? So networking is a very, very important aspect that you must not compromise on, right? Learning security principle, you must not compromise on it either. Or learning basic IT skills, you must not compromise on it either. But networking is very important because what makes the internet what it is today is because systems talk to each other. What makes a large organization function is because systems talk to each other, and those systems that are talking to each other, they are talking to each other on the basis of networking. So networking is very big. Like, and you must be big on networking when you are breaking into like cyber security, right? And I have some cool resources that I used. So like I said, you're a beginner, you're trying to break in. I'm not just going to list out, oh, do this, do that. We're also going to look at, okay, so what resources can I look at? So for a beginner, let's go to my YouTube. Let's go to YouTube and search for, let's search for Professor Mesa. I bring it out. So Professor Mesa Network Plus is a very good resource you could utilize, right? So if you are new to cybersecurity, if you don't want to, if you don't have enough money because you're just starting out, these are free resources that are very, very good. These are free resources that you can always utilize. Um, so Network Plus by CompTIA, so that's what Professor Mesa always analyze. So he analyzed the curriculum, the study materials, and all those interesting stuff. So if I come
AI is
here,
an AI online call assistant that gives you the answer to every question on your online call.
so
Hello, everyone. I'm James Messer.
so
Welcome to.
yeah, so this is Professor Mesa, and this is, let's see. So these are all the courses you can. These are free networking courses you can always utilize. So don't sleep on Professor Mesa, guys. That's the most important part. Don't sleep on Professor Mesa. These are free resources, and there's also total security, total seminars. Yes, Mike Myers, total seminars, uh, Network Plus. No, not Jason Dion. Um, yeah, another course I would definitely say you should go for is by this awesome author right here called Mike Myers. Right, Mike Myers videos are so good. Like um you'll be so happy you took it, to be honest. So this is also doing your own research, right? So don't just don't believe you are stuck when you are trying to break into this field. That's one thing I'll say. Don't believe you are stuck. Don't believe you are handicapped because you don't know the right things to do. You don't know the right resources to, you know, go for. Um, so that's number two. So I learn basic IT skills, very important. Networking, super important. Security principle, super important. Now my step three is very simple. My step three is creating a good portfolio, right? Creating a good portfolio and documenting your journey. Now, a lot of people when they've they've done their research, they've taken that amazing course, they finished that boot camp. Boot camp are also very nice. I think I forgot to add them here. So when you're taking courses online, you can also like try boot camps, very reliable boot camps. I don't know of one now, but maybe if I see a very reliable boot camp, I can put it out there so that people can actually join in. But what was I saying? So when people have done their whole, learning and all those things, they don't document their journey, which is very, 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 I don't know how to put it. But documenting your journey is very important. I'm just going to show you um my how my notes kind of looks like. Let's see. Um, how do I do this? 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 Okay, just take for example, this is um an app I use to document my journey. It's called Notion. So if you see my Notion note right here, you see that I have documenting everything that I've been doing, everything that I've ever done for my exam, everything that I've ever done. This is it right here. So always learn to document your journey. It is very, very important. Now the reason you should document your journey is because it's going to also help you when you're creating your CV or your portfolio. Because another part beginners get stuck at is I don't have the right CV. I don't have a good CV. You don't have a good CV because you are not documenting your journey, to be honest. Because if you are documenting those processes you've taken, you are documenting those labs you've taken, those courses you've seen, it's going to also help you to shape how you know brand yourself. Let me put it that way. Let me speak to the camera a bit. It's also going to shape how you brand yourself a bit. So documenting your journey is very, very, very important, right? All the mini labs you've done, all the courses you've taken, it must be documented because now you can now know, okay, or even all the projects you've done, it must be documented. I'll talk about projects in a later part of the video, but it must be well documented, right? So documenting your journey is also very, very important. Um, so what is step four? What is step four? Step four. Okay. Step four is visibility. Now, this is you can't compromise on this. Now, let me talk about visibility a little bit. Now, visibility. Let's go back to our screen. So, for visibility, I believe that if you've done step one, step two, step three, if you've done step one, step two, step three, then you should be visible because why would you take your time to know that okay, I want to be a great stock analyst, then you take all the stock analyst what's it called now, course, and you write maybe some stock analyst certifications, you then create a good portfolio and you just sit in your house and you hide it. You shouldn't hide it, right? You shouldn't hide it, right? You should put it out there, right? You should put it out there. You should um also I just remember something. I just remember something. So in the part where I talked about creating a good portfolio, right? There's something I just remember that I think I should also put out there. So if we go to LinkedIn, for example, right? Let's just go to LinkedIn, for example. Yeah. So this is my own portfolio. So this is me, my own portfolio. There's something I want to show you. So if I go to jobs, right? For example, let's say, uh, let me click on, let's just click on any job, security engineer, right? So let's click on that job. Now you see about this job, right? Um, so you're seeing the job requirements, right? The job requirements. You're seeing the kind of experience that they want. So experience in identifying and mitigating common vulnerability of OWASP security principles like injection attack, authentication and authorization flaws, cross-site scripting. Now, this is also another important part that beginners miss out because you must, in doing your research, to be honest, in doing your research, right, you must also um, come on these job sites to look at their job requirements. Now, the reason why you should look at job requirements is that it also kind of help you shape how you should um, prepare or how you should build your portfolio. So let's say, for example, now I'm seeing here that they need experience in this, right? Let's say this is what's this? This is a security, this is a security engineer role, for example. Now, once I know that okay, this is some of the things that they look out for, right? All I just need to do is try to learn all these things because I then need to learn okay, what are some of OWASP's requirements or OWASP vulnerability, right? What are authentication and authorization flaws? Now, when I learn that, right, and when I learn that with proven skills, for example, attempting a lab on that or writing a certification that covers that, then I can now document it in my CV. I can document it in my portfolio that okay, I've done this and this in relating to OWASP and things like that. So you should also come look out for these job requirements because they are gold mines in shaping your portfolio. So depending on the job role that you're looking for, so and there are different job role all the time. So if I click on, for example, maybe senior Java backend engineer, I see that the job requirement is very different. It's very different, right? Um, where's the job requirement? Did I miss it? Okay, key responsibilities also job requirement. So job requirements is that you need to maybe optimize MongoDB query, blah 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 blah. So for this, right, you can tailor yourself to learn, some of these things because these are some of the job roles that you'll be fulfilling. So you can tailor yourself to learn all these things. And when you've learned it with proven skills, you can now document it, and you see that you'd you'd you would do well when you're applying for jobs. Now, for the visibility part, let's just quickly do the visibility part. So for the visibility part, I mean, you can't do all those stress without being visible, right? You must be visible, and visibility is not just putting yourself out there alone, but primarily putting yourself out there, but following creator. But and when I mean visibility, I mean also knowing what is going on in the community, right? Knowing what is going on in your community, knowing what is going on, in the hacker space or SOC analyst space or GRC space and things like that. So following creators, attending conferences and meetup, those are also form of visibilities. Networking, form of visibility. Putting your work out there, putting yourself out there, form of visibility. But you must be visible. right? You cannot do all those work and not be visible, because if you're not visible, no one's going to know you, right? That's why I'm starting my own YouTube channel, because I want to be visible. That's just a joke. So step 5, I think we're on step 5. Yeah, step 5 is creating projects. Now this is one area that beginners sleep on, right? Even me, I sleep on it, to be honest. But creating projects, right? The reason why you should create projects is because you've done all these steps, right? You've done all these things. You are now visible. Now, when you create projects, right, it also helps you to know that, okay, these are some of the things I can put on my CV, right? These are some of the things I can put on my portfolio, that, oh, I created this project, I created that project. Now, it can be very, so don't dip it. To be honest, that's what I'll just say for this project part. Don't dip it. It can be a GitHub project, a simple script that maybe you wrote um to automate a process, right? You've done it, you did it, kudos, document it, right? And if you follow all these steps, if you follow all these mind maps, like, so let me just show you the full mind map. If you follow all these steps and this mind map, I believe, so this is the full mind map. So this is the full mind map. So the step 1 to step 2, step 3. So I'm very sure if you follow all these steps and you apply it as a beginner, you definitely learn something good. All right, it will definitely shaping your mind as to what you should be looking out for. It's definitely shaping your mind as to how you should go about this whole cybersecurity thing. All right, so um is there any other thing I'm missing? Is there any other thing I'm missing? um, So yeah, and also the last thing I'll just talk about real quick is, so for all these things I've talked about, right? You can definitely apply it in the sense of um if you're stuck, yes, I think that's the last thing I want to talk about. So if you're stuck, one thing you should know is that when you're stuck, you can always like research, right? You can always go on Google and research on that subject matter that you're stuck on, and you definitely find solution. Now, even when you're stuck, also you should also reach out to people, right? And that's where the visibility part comes in. So let's say you go for a meetup one day and you're stuck on a maybe you're stuck on a concept, right? And you go for a meetup one day and you meet other people that are of like minds. You can also ask them questions and you see that that thing will be resolved. So when you're stuck, please always ask questions, always reach out, always do your research, go on Google and do your research. To be honest, it's not that deep, right? And I think that's all I have. That's all I have. That's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it impacted you in a way. And so I hope it impacted you in a way. And I'll see you in the next video. Please, let me say this to the camera now. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.